Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners, hosted by agency veteran and coach Steve Guberman. Agency Bytes is a podcast focused on delivering actionable agency information from agency experts in about 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because who has the attention span for much more these days? And you can squeeze in a listen between meetings with time for a bathroom break or coffee refill before your next meeting.
Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners. I'm Steve Guberman from Agency Outsight, where I coach agency owners to build the agency of their dreams. Today I'm joined by Jared Gibson. He's the co-founder of Outworks. They are a SaaS-based startup focused on LinkedIn engagement for B2B professionals. Jared, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. How you been?
Awesome. So I want to hear about the origin of Outworks. Where did it come from? What prompted you to start it? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. So first off, thank you for having me on. Appreciate this. So we started Outworks about a little over a year ago. And where we are today is very different than where we were a year ago. I think that's a good thing. Any entrepreneur will tell you that if you haven't made some strategy shifts over that first year, then you're probably headed in the wrong direction. We originally started because we wanted to help small business owners, founders of organizations expand, and the struggle was real for bringing in new leads, right? They did a great job at expanding through their network, but when it comes to going outside of their network and bringing in new business, it was a struggle for them. And I'd known that, and my two co-founders, their network was telling them that too. So we started honestly just as like a pure email lead gen. We knew we weren't going to end there. Well, let's just hit play on this thing and let's start getting in the flow of having conversations with these founder-led organizations, these founders, to get in there and just help them out. So we brought in a few initial clients, helped them out, did good work, but we knew we didn't want to play in that email lead gen space. It's extremely crowded, and there was just so much more opportunity. We knew that we wanted to do something with LinkedIn. We just didn't know what at the time. We had all used LinkedIn in previous lives. We've used it to engage and start new conversations with potential prospects and buyers. So we wanted to figure out how we could take that strategy and bring it to our clients. So we made the pivot over to focus solely on LinkedIn, but we wanted to do it the right way. Like we didn't want to use a ton of automation and just hit spray and pray and just like annoy people. Like, right, I think we all get, I literally probably, since this call started, I've already gotten pitch slapped twice right in the face, right? So I think that's something that a lot of people that are out there kind of view this. LinkedIn is like this layer of like just spam that's in front of it. And they're very hesitant to actually go all in on LinkedIn, just because they don't want to come off as like salesy, spammy, right? Our approach is really the complete opposite of that. Like, when we go in and we engage on LinkedIn, we take our sales hat off and we put our networking hat on. Like, you've got to go in, like our process is all around building trust through engagement, earning the right to that conversation, right? So I believe we're not even really at the tip of the iceberg on the potential for LinkedIn. And if you can get past that layer, again, of spam and actually get in there and use LinkedIn the way that it's supposed to be used, there's so much opportunity that's out there, and our clients are seeing it now. And if you go on LinkedIn, just follow, there's a million, like, we'll call them gurus that are out there that are posting like really good content. And it's been, it's worked for us. Again, we've a few different plays since we pivoted over to LinkedIn, but we like where we are right now, and our clients are happy. And that's, I guess, kind of what matters.
So is there still an email component to it, or is that dead and you're all in on LinkedIn?
No, there's a bit of an email component to it too. Okay. So we do use a little bit of automation in our play. So what we'll ultimately do is we have a very granular list strategy that we will identify who the ideal clients are, who we want to put within these lists, who's active on LinkedIn, and then who's not active on LinkedIn. And I think that it goes without saying, some of the most valuable people that you can get in front of are the ones that aren't active on LinkedIn, but they're still logging in every day, and they just kind of scroll, but they just don't post or actively engage.
Just kind of lurking in the background.
Just 100% just lurking there, right? So what we'll do is we'll send out connection requests to that group of people, And if they accept it, great. If not, we wait a certain amount of days and then we'll hit them with a few email messages. To the point, not meant to be salesy, meant to start a conversation, email messages, right? And kind of pushing people back to LinkedIn more or less like, hey, not everybody's active on LinkedIn. Sent you over a connection request. Here's why I reached out, whatever that ends up being. And again, it's not meant to be salesy. It's meant to just try to start a conversation, get on the radar of those people. Yeah. Most people aren't ready to talk today, which is fine. All we want them to know is like that you exist and you're there.
Gotcha. So are you also posting organic content? So like if you send me a message and I click through, I'm like, who's this Jared guy? And I can see that you're active on there. You guys are doing that as well?
Yeah, we do. So we do executive support for our clients. There's really 4 components of what we're doing. It's the outbound system that we put in place. We do posting, active content. So we ghost post for our clients. We do active commenting and engagement on our clients' behalf. And then we do LinkedIn ads as well. So those are the 4 components of what we're running for our clients. And the ads are more of a retargeting play to stay in front of. And you can do that. It's more of a brand build, but you can do that for relatively low cost compared to a lot of the other costs that go into some of the other LinkedIn ads. But yeah, I mean, the posting's great because we want to provide content that's valuable for the people that we are bringing into the network. So I always say, like, when you post on LinkedIn, like, have a mic and pretend you're talking to one person, like one person that is your ideal buyer. Like, what is a challenge that you know that they're having that you solve for, and tell them how to solve for it, right? Just give stuff away for free, give advice away for free. And that's the stuff that we see the most engagement with, like how you can be helpful, different tips and tricks and strategies, depending on, obviously who we're working with, right?
So not too dissimilar from kind of, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, the blogging strategy was think of the questions that your prospects are asking Google. And now there's tools that'll tell you what's my ideal client asking Google. And they'll say, how do I do this or how do I do that? Now you're saying post content as if you're speaking to that person, answering that question, just like you were writing a blog post.
100%. Right. Yeah, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like, you can ask Google, you can ask ChatGPT. Like, right. And if you think about, like, when you're in a prospecting call, like, what are the 10 questions that you're getting asked on a prospecting call? Like, right. There's 10 posts right there. So yeah, there's strategy that goes into it, and it's crazy to think, like, we know so much, we have so much in our head. It's just extracting that out is where I think people have the most challenge with, right? Yeah. So the value that we bring to the table is that each month we'll sit down and we'll interview our clients and just ask them questions, right? And just let them go. Like, just keep talking. And then we can take everything that they basically spit out and we can come up with 8 to 10 posts on that, reformat the posts so they're easily readable and skimmable the way that LinkedIn and the algorithm like it, and restructure it so that it does get impressions, and engagement.
What audience are you finding this works from an engagement standpoint the best?
You mean like what type of industry or type of people that are posting?
Industry, on? B2B, vertical, yeah.
I mean, naturally, like, if you're selling to sales and marketing people, they're definitely the most active on LinkedIn, which obviously makes sense. Yeah. But for us, we just say, like, if you're selling something and you can figure out a way that to differentiate yourself and be the signal and the noise in what you're selling, then there's a massive opportunity. But obviously we want to go after people that are active on LinkedIn. We know that they're on LinkedIn. Perfect example. You are probably, if you're selling to accountants on LinkedIn, I'm sure there's people out there that have cracked that code. We haven't cracked it, right? Not super active. Engineers, if you're selling to engineers, they're not a big fan of LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Probably not going to work out. But if you're selling to a group of people that are active on LinkedIn, meaning that they're at least logging in, like, right, and we know that they're on LinkedIn and they're scrolling, and that's our ideal audience. We can figure out angles and different strategies and plays almost to anyone, but we've definitely told people, like, LinkedIn's a strategy that works for a lot of businesses. It's just it's not one that we think is. I mean, we can try some angles, but it's probably not going to be one that you're not going to see a big boom in business from a play here.
Interesting. Yeah. And what about different types of content, video, multi-slide things? What are you seeing is the ideal content type?
Yeah, I mean, so the algorithm is always changing, right? On what works and what doesn't work. Carousels right now are working. They worked in 2023, and who knows? Like in 2 months from now, LinkedIn may switch it up, and carousels may not work. I think LinkedIn did have their own carousel software that they were using that they end up pulling. So there's other ways that you can build out those PDF carousels. So we're seeing a lot of engagement with those, a lot of impressions. Video, short form video works well. Pictures, photos still work. I know people have said like, photos don't work as well as they did in the past. We're not seeing that. The numbers that when we post ourselves, when our clients are posting, like we still see impressions jump up from that because people naturally engage with that. Text form still works, right? But the key with the text form is how you format that. Like if you're bunching text into just 3 or 4 paragraphs, makes it harder for people to skim. LinkedIn recognizes that, and they typically will ding you for it. But yeah.
What about, so there's been this shift over the past few years of like, bring your authenticity, or bring the words that I can't say, bring your authenticity to LinkedIn. It's not just a business platform. It's a social platform for business people. Let's talk about kids and grief and like all these things, the emotional things that come along with business ownership or sales and marketing or whatever. What's your stance on that? But then also two-sided question. How are you, if that's an angle that you guys play for your clients, how are you implementing that on their behalf?
Yeah, good question. So I think that COVID and the pandemic changed a lot of that, right? I think before COVID, it was a strictly business platform. And if people posted that type of stuff, it was almost like, well, get back over to Facebook or whatever, right? And I think that because the pandemic shifted the focus to in-home and, kids running around the back, whatever, all that stuff, I think people became more open to the idea that people can bring their authentic self to LinkedIn. And sure, it still rubs people the wrong way. Like, don't get me wrong. There's still people out there that are like, oh, this is not business focused, like whatever. Like, that's fine. Like for me personally, those aren't my buyers. That's not my ideal client. Like I do post when I post some personal stuff sometimes, like kids stuff. I try to bring humor into most of my posts. I post tips and tricks, but I believe that, again, the pandemic definitely made that shift possible. And I think you're seeing it a lot more on LinkedIn. And whether you like it or not, it 100% helps out with engagement. Yeah. Right. It does. Like people naturally will gravitate toward people that are putting their authentic self out there and want to provide support, whatever that is. Right. If that's through a like or that's through a comment, whatever that is, like and it works. Like people understand that. Now, does it bring in business? Does it ultimately lead to dollars and cents? If you're mixing that in with content that's relevant to what you're selling, sure. Right. Yeah. Now, how do we bring that into our clients? Like we always ask our clients, like, how far do you want to go? Like, do you want to put do you want any of your personal life to be out there? Do you want any of your like leader as a leader? Like, what do you struggle with as a leader of a business? Right. There's so much to be learned from people. And if you view it as like, I'm not trying to bitch or moan, I'm literally trying to show people like, this is what I've gone through. Like, this is how I overcame this. And if it can help one person out, read this and say, damn, like this is what I needed today. Then how does that hurt posting that? Yeah. Right. So we do. Most of our clients are on board with like more or less like whatever you guys think, or whatever you think.
They trust you.
They trust us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important. One thing I don't know. I never saw a place for the happy birthday nonsense. You hear from 75 people one day a year. It to me has never really opened the door of, I haven't heard from Frank Sinatra in a year. I should see how he's doing because he said happy birthday to me. Yeah. But going back through my list and saying, I haven't spoken to these people in a year, 2 years. Let me check back in with them. I find that's really helpful. but I don't get a ton of response from it. Like, because it feels like LinkedIn has just gotten so spammy that people don't know how to respond, even to true connections that we've had over the years.
Yeah.
And so how are you kind of breaking through that, like you said, the signal to noise clutter?
Yeah. So a lot of it comes through with engagement. So let's go to the happy birthday thing, right? There is absolutely a play there where people are wishing you a happy birthday, which is fine. It's totally up to if you want to do that, great. But if you're going to do it, do it in a way that shows Steve, I would send my message to you may be, hey, Steve and I haven't connected in 6 months. I see it's his birthday today. Hey, happy birthday, man. Would love to catch up sometime if you're around, right? Something that doesn't come off as just canned, hit a button and then happy birthday, right? That doesn't work. But so when we talk about cutting through the noise on LinkedIn, engagement is so important. Commenting on other posts is key when we talk, how do you become that signal in the noise? There's people that are actively posting on LinkedIn right now. So think about, I'll give you an example. There's people actively posting on LinkedIn. If you are connected to or following, you don't even need to be connected. You could build a list in Sales Navigator, and within this list, you go in every day and you see who's posting on LinkedIn, right? These are my ideal clients. These are the people that I would love to get in front of, love to get on their radar. And you've got Steve, agency owner. Steve's posting a comment. Steve's an ideal client of mine. You go to Steve's post on LinkedIn, and there's maybe, let's say, 15 likes and 1 comment on it, right? It is an opportunity for you to be able to take a look at that post. And if it makes sense, you don't want to, if somebody posts a picture of their dog, you're not going to write cute dog, right? But if it makes sense for you to add value in a comment to that post, then why wouldn't you do that and get on that and get on Steve's radar, right? So you could, Steve, you post something. I could write in, great post, Steve, 1 ad on top of this would be this, right? So a comment that adds value to the post. So not only is Steve seeing that post or that comment, he's likely going to engage back with you and say, hey, great thought, Jared, right? Right. That's one. But then not just Steve, everybody else that follows Steve, right, is going to potentially see that comment, right? So you're on the radar of other people as well. So you continue to do that. You're building a relationship. So Steve posts again next week. You do the same thing next week. Steve eventually is going to be like, who in the hell is this guy? I'm going to go to the profile. And if your profile is set up for success, which every one of our engagements starts with a profile audit. If that profile is set up for success and they know exactly, if somebody's going to your profile and they know the solution that you solved to the problem they have, that's all. That's a KPI for us, profile views, right? So they know who you are. And a lot of times you don't even need to connect with that person. They're going to automatically connect with you, right? So it's kind of that reverse thought process there. So you're immediately on their radar. You do that a few more times. Your friends, take it to a DM. Steve, obviously I've loved your posting. Would love to catch up sometime if you're ever around, figure out a way we can help each other out. Right. Yeah. And that's, you build trust through comments and engagement, but at the end of the day, the money comes from the DMs. How do you take it from that comment to a DM to an actual phone call?
Yeah. So converting that journey through into conversion is really what you guys are aiming towards. It's easy to like all day. It's easy to comment, but getting somebody, I think the kids say, sliding into the DMs and turning that into, how do we jump on a Zoom call? How do we meet for a cup of coffee if we're in the vicinity of each other? It still can't be go for the goal. That's a sales thing, right? And so, whether it's obvious to some people or not, but you still can't go in for the kill. It's still, how can I be helpful to you? What can I, how can I support you? That kind of 80-20 of being helpful 80% of the time before you go in for the ask, at least that's what I was taught, really beneficial. In the audits that you guys are doing, what are some of the kind of red light things that you're seeing on people's profiles? It's why would you even think about doing that?
Yeah. So if you can go to somebody's profile and know if they're active on LinkedIn or whatever, but a lot of times and it's the basics. It's a bad profile photo, not using the banner image. The banner image is prime real estate for a call to action on exactly what you do. A lot of people aren't flipped over to creator mode, right? So they're not using all the CTAs that LinkedIn gives to you. Their headlines are way off, and the headline is so important because it's the first thing that people see. So there's all these different little areas and nuances within the LinkedIn profile that should be 100% optimized, because LinkedIn's giving you a free landing page, right? If you can get people back to that landing page, like that's half the battle right there. Like they're there and you're not giving them any, if they have, every question should be answered.
Yeah.
What is this? What does Steve do? How can Steve provide value? Who does Steve work with? You should be able to answer all those questions within your LinkedIn profile, right? And you just see that just a lot of people aren't, because it's one of those things where it's like it's more of an avoidance thing. I know I should do this, just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I always thought of it as they just didn't know how to think from other people's perspective of what what their prospects want to hear from them. And I always wondered how many emojis in the description is too many emojis. I guess there isn't a limit to.
I think I have like 3. I have 3 in my headline, I think.
If there's not a rocket ship and a bullseye, you're off base, right?
I'm pretty sure I've got a rocket ship and a bullseye and a golf and a golf guy. I got a golf guy.
Perfect
there as well. But yeah, it's I think the people just don't view LinkedIn like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a mindset outside comfort zone shift that a lot of people, like we just had a call with a client that, we're getting them ramped up and getting them started. And you can tell they're very like uncomfortable with this, right?
Yeah.
They don't want people to judge them. They don't want to put themselves out there. They feel that if they're posting, like nobody cares what I have to say. Like, I don't know what this, like all this stuff. It's like people do care what you have to say.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so it's for us, a lot of it is kind of that initial hand holding to get them some wins at the beginning and be like, see, this stuff does work. Like you gotta, I would love to tell you what I have written underneath my desk here. I don't know if this is a PG-13 or a rated R show.
No, you're good.
So I was in that boat, right? I was in that boat where it was, I don't want to put myself out there, but eventually I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do this all in. I have to go all in on this. I know there's opportunity. I posted a little bit in a previous life, but I didn't post a lot, not nearly to what I'm doing now. I'm at least 3 times a week now, but I had to get over the hump of giving a shit what other people thought.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I posted, my 7-year-old can read now. So she's already caught this. I tried to hide it from her, but it literally says, stop giving a fuck what people think. You're not for everyone. Right. Yeah. It's sitting right on my desk. And you have to have that mindset, because you're there to build relationships and grow your business. That's why you're there. Right.
Yep.
And if you are in your own head that people are going to judge you, then you got to just get out, take a step back. Right. But if you do switch the mindset and you do go, all in on LinkedIn, there is, again, we're not even at the tip of the iceberg on the opportunity. 1% of people actively post more than twice a week. 3% of people post once a month.
Wow.
That's it. The share of voices is huge on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, I love that, man. Like, yeah, I'm not for everyone. I don't need to be for everyone. I need, for me, 50 clients. You know what I mean? For your SaaS, 10,000 clients, 1 million clients. I don't know. But again, what percentage is that? That percentage needs to be for you, not 7 billion people. So, think about the numbers games. Seth Godin talks about that a lot. Like, you don't need 6 million clients. So don't worry about how many, what the saturation limit is. How many do you need? And that's the percentage that needs to be there for you. So yeah, I dig that.
Another, quick build on top of that. One thing that I've started doing along that mindset was, there's a ton of LinkedIn people that are out there, right?
Yeah.
I would love to say that we're a differentiator. We do some of the executive support as opposed to just the outbound process. I've stopped being anti talking to competitors and leaned into talking to competitors.
Absolutely.
All day. Yep. I have learned so much from my competitors over the last 6 months. It's been insane. And now we're friends, we're buddies. We give each other tips and tricks all the time. Like it's so important to lean into that competitive nature, because like you said, there's millions of businesses that need help with this right now, right? There's plenty to go around. The chances of me overlapping with any of the people that I'm talking to are slim to none. I have a call tomorrow with a guy that I respect the hell out of that's over in Europe. I can't wait to talk to him. about what he's doing. And it's very similar to what we're doing too.
More people need that abundance mindset as opposed to that competitive, like put the walls up mindset. And I was having a conversation this morning over coffee with another agency owner, and same thing, like there's enough business to go around. There's a good chance we're not cookie cutters. We don't overlap in all areas. Even if you do social and this person does web and this person, like, that abundance mindset goes so much farther, bringing people in and partner up. And I like to believe, and I feel like it's gotten stronger over the past bunch of years than it used to be. So I fully support that.
Yeah, for sure.
Shift gears real quick, throw a couple of random rapid fire questions at you. I just think these are super fun. The answer to any of these, there's like 2 or 3 questions. The answer can be related to business or personal. And it can be digital, physical. No, there's no rules to this. So first one is, what can't you get enough of these days? It can be a book, a show, a hobby, whatever.
Oh, man. I would love to. I have to go down. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 that have nothing to do with business.
Good.
One, just because of the time of the year it is, and because this doesn't happen a lot, is the Cleveland Browns being in the playoffs. Can't get enough of that. Like, I'm a Northeast Ohio guy. I live in Chicago now, but diehard Browns fan. So I'm counting the days down to Saturday at 3:30 here. So that's one. Really quickly, then 2. When I finally log out for the day, just a show that I started watching. Somebody told me about it. Is Fargo. I started watching Fargo. Man, I can't get enough of that show.
Yeah, so the way they recreated each season is pretty cool. Yeah,
it's awesome. So
you're watching the John Hamm. Are you watching the John Hamm season?
I am not. I just finished. I just finished the 2nd season of it, and like I set, like if I can get my work done at night after I put the kids down, do your work, and I have like these 3 tasks. If I can get these done by this certain time, then I can go watch 30 minutes of Fargo. So that's
you've rewarded yourself. Dig it.
Yep.
What's a tool that you've recently integrated into your life that you're like, how did I live without this thing all this time?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? I'm going to go with, recently, this was in the last 2 weeks. Somebody told me about Tab Limiter.
Okay.
So one of the issues that I have is that, I actually just posted on this recently, is that I'll start something and then get squirreled away from, like, really quick. Like something else comes up and I'm gone, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that has to do with all the 5,000 different tabs that I have open on my computer. And Tab Limiter puts a cap on it, right? And I always say, like, this is great. I'm going to go back to this one. I do that like 10 times a day, and I never go back to any of that shit, right? So Tab Limiter puts the cap on it. And I love, because it keeps me focused. It's one of the many things that I'm using now to like keep me focused on the task at hand rather than kind of going squirrel.
Dig it. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And then finally, what's an invaluable piece of business advice that you can share with listeners?
Invaluable piece of business advice. I will read to you exactly what is posted. I'm a big sticker guy. I got them all over. I have one right here that somebody posted this on LinkedIn about a year and a half ago. And it was right around the time where I was trying to figure out, like, do I start my own business? Like, what do I do? Like, when do I do it? Right. And it just happened that this post popped up on my LinkedIn feed as I'm like kind of ripping at the heartstrings, like trying to figure out, like, do I have the balls to, like, do you want to do this, all this stuff? Somebody posted, and I was like, it was kind of that sign from above. There's never a perfect time to start anyway.
There you go.
Right. And now we're here.
Love it. And that applies for business, kids, whatever that big, thing that you're looking for the courage of. There's never going to be a perfect time. Just jump into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Make the perfect time.
For sure.
Awesome. Jared, thank you so much for joining me, for your time, for your expertise. Appreciate you sharing with us.
Awesome. Steve, always good connecting. Talk soon, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in to Agency Bytes. If you know someone with expert knowledge on a topic that agency owners would love to hear about, go to agencyoutsight.com/podcast-guest and nominate them.